Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of A Road to Innovation, one of the most premier shows that CxO Global Forum puts together on CxO Global TV. Now, what exactly is the CxO Global Forum? It is no longer just a league or C-level execs, but actually it has evolved into a league of extraordinary ladies and gentlemen who are not only domain experts, but thought leaders, the movers and the shakers, the innovators of the global corporate policy advocacy, and throughout the world. These are the change makers, as I'd like to see them. Today as well, we've got one of our most sought after thought leaders. He's someone who's had decades of experience. Honored and proud to have him here. Joining us today is going to be Mr. Shafaat Hashmi. He's the chairman, Stallion Gates Investments, UAE, and the CEO, Brandbeat Advertising and Communications Global. He's also a board member in 25 plus startups and a limited partner in multiple global companies. Welcome to the show, Mr. Shafaat Hashmi.
Thank you very much, Ansa. Such a pleasure. Always a pleasure to be part of CxO Global and to share knowledge to the road to innovation. I mean, it's a great program. So glad to be here.
Absolutely, and your contributions to the global knowledge economy are remarkable. I must add to this. Today, the topic that we're going to be talking about is something that a lot of people have been reaching out to us about. What are the 10 blunders that startups make? So a lot of times we get advice on what to do, right? But today, we know you are an extremely brilliant, experienced person, but I also would like for you to tell us now what not to do. So over to you, sir.
Well, I think I hope that just like startups, they work on 10x multiples, So the topic should also be 10x, because if I have to list the blunders of startup, I could go 100 blunders of startups that I've come across in my life, right? But let's try to put it all in a nutshell. And so let me give you a bit of a background. We got exposed to the startup ecosystem somewhere around 2005, 2007. And there was a concept known as startup. And then, 2012 onwards, startups were all over the place. And, last decade, we have seen that some companies, they became unicorns. And there was this whole ecosystem of incubation, acceleration, and so much that has been done to foster entrepreneurship. But I kept wondering, what was the impact of incubators, accelerators, and so many coaches and mentors and trainers that came into the market? Unfortunately, the failure rate still remains 90%.
Absolutely.
So what's the value that has been added with so much investment going on across the globe? So why don't we see unicorns? Where do we leave it? Is the purpose of a startup only to get a better valuation, raise funds, the CEO and the founders get their salaries from investors' money or VC's money, do a great life for 3 to 5 years, and then file bankruptcy? Or is the purpose of a startup is to bootstrap, immediately, post profitability, make sure there's a traction model, and they grow into a profitable company? So I think there's a lot to do with so much. Less than 1% of startups receive funding. Less than 1%. And every second person that you would meet is going to stress upon one thing. Hey, work on your pitch. Work on your pitch deck. And there are like millions of people who turn around to tell you that pitch is all that you need to do, right? You might have a great pitch, but a shit product. You might have a great product, but a bad business acumen or a bad attitude towards business as a founder, and you're not likable, you're not credible, nobody's going to invest with you. So it's not that, okay, you get this right and you'll be successful. It is about getting pretty much everything right to be successful. And similarly, it's not about doing one thing wrong and totally fail. It is when people do multiple things wrong in a series and people fail. So it's a repeated pattern. So if I have to count down, the 10 blunders, the first blunder, which I believe that startups do, is the couch mentality. When ideation is done on a couch like the one I'm sitting on right now, so I'm sitting like this, I have a couple of more friends and we're smoking cigars, and suddenly I'm like, hey, when I drop my ash from my cigar, I have to lean forward and then put it down. So why don't I have a product that attaches with my cigar and automatically the ash goes in, right? So, oh, wow, that's a great idea. And all the friends get together and we're like, yeah, that's a serious problem. Okay, let's get the product done. So immediately you go out, you start designing, blah, blah, blah. And then without validation, your only validation is the four friends who are half drunk, smoking cigars, thought of an idea and say, okay, that's going to be a hit. The truth is, it is not a problem that you're solving, which has a serious pain point. There is no urgency. And I don't really think that people are ready to pay money for getting that extra gadget in front of the cigar. So sitting on your couch, especially young entrepreneurs, they think that their problem is probably the problem of millions of people, which is not the truth. So when you really go out, yes, it might be a problem for millions of people, but it's not an urgent enough problem for which millions of people want to pay money right now. Okay. So the couch mentality, I believe, is the first blunder that a lot of startups do. And they think anything and everything can fly. Blunder number 2, being over innovative. Sometimes you just need to copy paste something and execute it better than the other one. You can still be a startup. Yeah, you could still be a startup. You could still be a great business. I mean, if I look at Facebook, Facebook wasn't the first social media platform on this planet. It was Orkut. If I look at WhatsApp, WhatsApp wasn't the first online chat platform. It was MIRC or something. Okay. If I look at, or BlackBerry Messenger was there, right? And BlackBerry, for example, made a huge blunder by trying to keep it exclusive, BlackBerry only. You have to share PIN code. Random people cannot add you, blah, blah, blah. WhatsApp said, here's your mobile number. Anybody can add. It's free to use, and it's not limited to BlackBerry only. It's free of the platform, Android, iPhone, Apple, whatever. There you go. And that's a great idea because they just replicated BlackBerry Messenger, took one bit of complexity out of it, which was to share the PIN code, and boom, right? Similarly, it was BlackBerry who started moving towards an Android platform and ultimately requested WhatsApp that, can you give us the right so we as an Android can have WhatsApp as part of BlackBerry? So frankly speaking, it's not always about being extra innovative. It's really about how great you are in executing it. The third blunder, I think, is ego. The founder's ego comes in way of their success. Ego, even generally, I think in life, it's something that we should be scared of. It's something to fear. It's something that we should crush, And I have come across a lot of founders, and these guys, they would come and they would pitch, and we as investors are going to look at it and we're going to tell them on their face that, listen, it's a good idea, but the following things don't add up, or your financials don't add up, or I don't think that your go-to-market strategy is really, really going to get that 0.001% of your, SOM or SAM or TAM, but the moment you thrash few things, or the moment we question them about technology or the next 2 years plan, or the moment we question their financials or the growth multiple that they've used, the moment they walk out, they don't want to answer, their ego comes into play, and they think they know way better than 10 other people whose everyday job is to evaluate startups. So because ego, founders hurt themselves. They close the doors. They don't understand basic emotional intelligence. They do not understand how to tackle question and answer session, or have a thick enough skin to absorb all kind of positive and negative feedback. So somebody was saying today that we should teach our children and make them learn how to fail. And I told those people that, no, we don't need to teach children or our youth to learn how to fail. They should always learn how to succeed. But they should learn how to embrace failure. They should learn how to embrace their shortcomings with grace. And they should be able to channel that negative force, into more of a motivational force that pushes them, throws them out of their comfort zone to perform better. So, this is something which I believe is important. Now the fourth, which number are we at? Third or fourth? Hamza?
A suggestion to make, and maybe you can vouch for it. I mean, I've read time and time again that one of the other big blunders that startups make is handling money incorrectly. If you could just
Absolutely. I'll be coming to the financials. And it's not only handling or mismanaging finances. You're absolutely right. People come to us and they say, my valuation is $10 million. And we're like, okay, what have you got? A PowerPoint presentation. Do you really think I'm going to put, $1 million for 10% equity? And my next question is that, have you ever managed even $100,000 in your life? And their answer is no. So I asked them, okay, that's fine. Maybe you never had the chance to make $100,000. So tell me, how much money do you have personally to invest in your company? $1,000, $2,000, $10,000? You got a $10 million valuation. So can you put just $10,000 in your company if I ask you to, or $1,000? And the founder would be like, I'm sorry, but I'm broke. I have invested everything into this. And the moment I hear this, we are like, you know what? If you don't know how to manage your personal finances, you're going to surely mess up our finances, right? So when founders come, they should have their personal savings. They should be transparent about it. And they should be smart about it that, hey, listen, I have put $20,000 in my startup by far. I think we are where we are. And I have another $40,000, $50,000 in my account, which are my personal savings. But I'm not stupid. I'm not going to put all my savings into this startup. I can surely add another $5,000, $10,000, but I can only give you 50% of my savings, right? And I'll figure out that this guy is very smart. He's not putting all his eggs in one basket, and he understands how financial management needs to be done, right? So you're absolutely right. But I think that it's not only financial mismanagement. A bigger problem is people management. When you have a startup, you have small teams, and every other person you shake hands with figures out that this guy doesn't have the salary to pay. So they say, okay, give me 2% equity, give me 5% equity. So the first few people who take equity is your CTO, your tech guys. The second partner are those who are into product design and marketing. The third people who take equity are all these incubators who essentially turn around saying, listen, we are going to provide you, we're an incubator. Like, wow, so what do you do in the incubator? Nothing. We are providing you an office space. You can come here every day, and you never know, you might find the love of your life, because that's what you're there for, with some great dating spot. And we are going to waste a lot of your time by introducing you to free guest speakers who will be coming randomly every day to take away 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours of lecture. They will never teach you any skill. And out of 30 sessions, 25 sessions will be about how to pitch. My question is, you're running an incubator. God damn it, put some CTO over there, put up a few programmers to help those 10 startups that you're incubating. Put up an advertising agency and a retainer to help them put their UI, UX, their brand together, their pitch deck together, their website together. Put up a CFO who can look after those 10 startups and help them put the right visibilities. So what value are you adding except for giving them a shared space, And this is exactly why incubation centers are a fail, and you don't see unicorns coming out of incubation centers, because it's a total mumbo jumbo dumbo kind of a setup where people are putting up incubation centers for their personal PR. And these founders and CEOs and these youngsters, they're very happy because they want to say, oh, I am incubated in this and I'm incubated there, and we got incubated there. And frankly speaking, I have seen startups who have been incubated in 4 different incubators. And when you meet them, they're actually being incubated in the 5th incubator. And they haven't raised a dime. They haven't executed even the MVP. The VCs to remove all the makeup and see what's really beneath the makeup. This is how you make a great investment, right? So I think the biggest blunder, one of the biggest blunders, that's number 5, is when startup founders make a fool out of themselves. They're cheating on themselves. You take a picture with a rich guy or a celebrity or some guru in Silicon Valley or India or Pakistan or whatever, or some CEO or chairman of a great advertising firm or a technology firm. That doesn't make you rich. That doesn't make you successful. The life of that social media post that you're going to share on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, is 72 hours. After 72 hours is in the grave. Nobody's going to dig 7 levels below earth to find what you look like, and who were you rubbing shoulders with. Makes no sense. But just to get that one click, they wasted 3 months. Right? I think number 7, one of the blunders in number 7 is having a real competitive edge. We come across startups who say, I'm going to make sure that the buyers meet the sellers. Typical e-com. The whole world is doing it. It's great. But are you someone who has created a drop shipping model like Amazon? Are you someone who's creating this new facility like Amazon in Ottawa in Canada, which is pretty much run by robots? Or the facility in Vancouver, where you have huge number of screens and everybody's on their toes, and they are one of the best facilities in the world, when it comes to Amazon. So what model are you presenting? Is it process innovation? Is it operational innovation? And most importantly, do you have an IP for it? The real value in the startup business is if you have an IP. Okay, that is important. So a patent or a design patent or some patent, you have the list of those patents. You're like, oh wow, that's where we want to invest in. That's a real unique proposition. So a real competitive edge is not there. Either it's a perceived competitive edge, or the competitive edge that you're saying is a competitive edge is not valued by your target customers or users. And I say, Anza, I'm going to take you to a 7-star hotel. We're going to have dinner there. I'm going to drive you on my S-Class. And then we're going to go and, we're going to sit by the beach. We're going to chat all evening. And then I drop Anza back home and ask Anza, how was your trip? Anza was like, well, you took me to best of the best places. Good, but I'm not excited.